All right, and here we go with similar shapes and applications for Chapter 7 of 8th grade math with me, Mr. Hain. All right, cool. So the essential question, I will be able to identify similar shapes and solve applications. All right, so applications know that we have to get into the nitty-gritty and kind of see how things get put together in the real world. And identifying similar shapes, I bet that has to do with some corresponding parts. We're going to be modeling some problems with some math. All right, let's get going. All right, so similar shapes. Are they similar and how do you know? Okay, I got whack and I got mole. I got two different rectangles. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set up a ratio to the corresponding sides. So I see that KC corresponds with EL, so that's my first fraction, and AC corresponds to OL. All right, that's my second fraction. Put the numbers in, and now I've got two fractions, and if they are similar, the ratios have to equal each other. So I'm going to multiply. So 1.5 times 14 and 2 times 7. Okay, so whip out those calculators. Kaboom! I've got 21 is equal to 14. Houston, we've got a problem. They're not equal. 21 does not equal 14, so whack and mole are not similar rectangles. Sweet. All right, let's look at MER and WAT. All right. So I'm going to set up the same things. I'm going to see that ME corresponds to WA and MR corresponds to WT. Cool. Now, the extra side, I could definitely use that, but I don't want to do like a triple-decker fraction or something weird, so that's why I'm just making it straightforward. One side over another side corresponds with MR over WT. Okay. So now I've got to substitute in those values, and I'm going to have to multiply. So 10 times 3 and 5 times 6, and that is 30 is equal to 30. And ding, 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 30 does equal 30, so these are similar shapes. Okay, cool. Awesome. So let's just take a moment. Can you see and if C is corresponding? So go ahead and set up those ratios, find the corresponding sides, and pause the video, and then we'll take a look at how to solve problems like D that has an unknown in one of the sides. So as you are finishing C, go ahead and pause that video, and I'll be back when you have finished C, just like we did A and B. And we're back. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at what your work should look like. ME over W or UR. Okay, so there we go. All right. Substitute some numbers in MT and UN. So substitute those numbers in. We're going to multiply and we're going to compare those ratios. And I've got 14.4 is equal to 15. And if you said that's not equal, yeah, you're right. They're not similar. All right, so let's take a look at the other one. I have AL corresponds to UR and EL corresponds to KR. Substitute in those values. And now we've got an unknown here as X. So to solve for that, I'm still going to use the same method. I'm going to multiply across. And that gives me 10 is equal to 4X. And now this is a one-step equation. We know how to do this. Isolate that variable. This is multiplication, number next to a letter. So I do the opposite, division. And there you go. I've got 2.5 is equal to X. Sweet. So the exact same thing when I have a side that has a variable amount. All I need to do, set up those ratios, multiply across, and then solve for the value of X. Awesome. All right, guys, let's take a look at some applications that we can use. Now, I'm going to walk through E. And F, G, and H are all solved the exact same. Well, let's do E and F together. And then G and H are solved. We can do those on your own. So let's take a look at E. I have a 12 by 8 painting dilated by a scale factor of 1/4. All right, cool. So that's a similar shape because both sides are scaled with the same scale factor. So I've got a 12 by 8 picture, scale factor of 1/4. Since it's a fraction, numerator of 1, I'm dividing by the denominator. So kaboom. Divide by 4. And that leaves me with, of course, 3 inches by 2 inches. So now the rest of these deal with similar shapes, and we need to set up those pictures. So it helps if I draw a picture or set up those fractions. So I've got a 3 by 5 postcard, and it's similar to a 100-yard football field. All right, so I got 100. 5 is the longer side, so those match up. 3 is the shorter side, those match up. Um, I've got my ratios. 3 over x is equal to 5 over 100. Multiply diagonally and multiply up. Cool. And then I just got to solve, whip out that calculator, and kaboom. That side of the football field is 60 yards. Yeah, I know. For all of you guys that play football, you know that that's incorrect. Go ahead and punish me. But that's not really what the focus of this problem is. It's just seeing for this particular football field, which is not regulation. But don't let that bug you. All right, so for G and H, you're going to see the work from the fraction on. So you can draw that picture on your own in your notes, but I encourage you to pause the video and solve G and H on your own. I'll be here when you get back after I take this sip of coffee and you finish that work. Delicious. Yes, I'm back, and here we go. If you have the fraction 67 over 80, and then you have cross multiplied and divided, you do know, rounding to the nearest tenth, that Paul's dad is 86 inches. That's how long his shadow is. For H, I did set up those two triangles. Now I have 28 as a base and 5 centimeters tall. So that's why I have base over height, and then I have base over height. That has to be the same. I can't have height over base, otherwise it's going to get all weird. And then from there, it's just calculator work. You know, you multiply and then you divide. And we have 78.4 centimeters is the base of the first triangle. Awesome. I know you guys are rocking it. You're killing it. You're getting these similar shapes out of the way. And here we go with the last topic, which is just writing the statements. So some people can find this super duper confusing. Really, you just have to match up the sides with the sides. Now, you've seen this in the previous video where we talked about congruent shapes. But here we're going to be talking about similar shapes. They're set up the exact same way. I actually wrote them as congruent statements, but you'll see. Here we go. We've got B, R, and E. Now, these aren't congruent. That's my bad. But yes, the equal sign should just be squiggly. So we have B, R, and E. So I have R is the second letter, and it is absolutely the 45-degree angle. And B is the one on the bottom of the triangle, not the point, that doesn't have the 45. So for the second triangle, I have to start with A and K because K has to be the second letter because, you know, each of these sides has to correspond. And BR corresponds to AK, and you see that E is the last letter because it is the point of both of those triangles. Now they're just twisted, so the BRE triangle is twisted over to the AKE triangle. Awesome. All right, so let's take a look at triangles, the small triangle hot and the outside triangle mess. Okay, so we have to get these to correspond. So I know that ME corresponds to HO and OT corresponds to ES. So MES has to correspond to HOT. Absolutely. And again, I wrote the congruent symbol. That's my bad. You guys should have the similarity equal sign, which is just two waves. I'm sure your teacher is drawing this on the board. Or you're just taking a look and realizing that's what it is online. Google is a powerful thing. All right, for the last example, K, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can do these on your own. I will be back after another sip of my delicious coffee. Delicious. Yes, if you have a shape TOUR is similar to shape SHAM, then you are absolutely correct. And that's all we got, ladies and gentlemen. We're writing similar statements so that each side matches up with each side. The TO matches up with the SH. So we got TO and SH here. Second two letters, UR matches up with AM on the inside. They are the same order, and we are good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have my notes and you are in my class and you are writing your summary and you have made sure that your table of contents is updated, if you're following along at home, I really apologize for not doing these congruent statements correctly. But you know they should just be similarity statements, which is just this line doubled one over the other. So it looks like a squiggly equal sign. And we're good to go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was similar shapes. Till next time, keep doing the math.